Hello and welcome to the Nitro RX podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nabila Tejpar, and I'm joined, as always, by my brilliant co-host, Thiemo Albers-Daly. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, thank you, Nabila. How about yourself?
I am doing well, thank you. I am very excited because we are back for another episode this week in between the Nitro RX rounds, and we're joined by a really special guest today. We're taking things away from the driving side and joining the presenting team, and we are really excited to see Andrew Coley
I'm
on
great
board this week.
Thanks,
How are you
Nabila.
doing?
I'm really good. I'm enjoying some time at home. Not going to lie, a bit of time with the dog, who seems as interested as always, and time with the wife as well. So it's been a busy season so far for me with Nitro and with everything else. And yeah, I'm enjoying some downtime before we get stuck into the stateside portion of Nitro. So I'm fine. How are you guys?
Doing really well, thank you. Trying to keep busy, enjoying the season of Nitro and what it's had to offer this year. Actually just got back from a rally in Minnesota where the next round is, and I can say that Travis is currently working on the track right now because I saw him at the ARA championship last weekend. So I'm really excited to see how that one comes about.
Awesome. And Thiemo, you good?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Thanks. Can't complain. It's just living the good life, interviewing and being far too busy than I should be.
Mega. Nice one. Yeah, I saw a little bit. Was it the Ojibwe or a big Jwit? I don't even know how you say it. The stages with the wiggly road through the lake. My friend Stephen Harrell, who's a co-driver, ended up in the lake in the Subaru, which has seen a huge amount of coverage on social media, hasn't it?
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't realize. Yeah, I saw that, and yeah, it was Ojibwe. It was very, very cold and very rainy. But I mean, let's be real. It's cold for me who now lives in Florida. But it was really fun, and that was, yeah, I think he just hit water and then just shot straight into the lake.
I've seen the onboard of it. They were very, very calm about it. A lot calmer than I think I would have been if I'd had a rally car in a lake. I've had a rally car in a few different places, hedges and ditches. But that touch wood, I've never been in a lake. I think it's a good place to stay, not in the lake.
Yeah, that's good. So I think, shall we kick things off? Because I kind of want to know, you have such a long history and relationship with motorsport. How was getting involved in Nitro RX? Was that inevitable? And how did that happen?
Oh, you have to give away the secrets here, aren't we? Of how so Nitro Rallycross. Obviously, I'd done the World Rallycross Championship from 2014. I'd actually been with the European Championship since 2013 when I joined with IMG. I'd done a one-off commentary at Lydden Hill in 2012 for European Rallycross, just because Lydden at the last minute were like, we don't have a commentator, who can we call? And by that point, I was already working for Eurosport. So I'd done the stuff with IMG, obviously, and World Rallycross, and I was just scrolling, I think, and came across an advert for Nitro Rallycross at Salt Lake City. It's 2018. I'd never heard of Nitro Rallycross, obviously, because it hadn't happened. It seemed to be a one-off event. There wasn't much information on the website about it. So I thought, well, I need to get in touch with these guys and have a chat. I was doing ARX at the time, so I felt that as the person doing World RX and ARX, if the competitors were going to come together, I hoped I might be able to bring something to the broadcast, although obviously you never know what the producers want to do. So I sent an email to info@nitrocircus.com, which was the only bit of contact I could find on the whole Nitro Circus website. And I got an email back. I got an email back from the assistant to the main producer, basically. And we went back and forth a few times. And then I ended up, I wasn't sure it was going to happen. I chased it a little bit. And then I ended up, they were like, are you free for a phone call? Whatever time it was, Pacific time. And I was like, yeah, fine, no worries. I was traveling to Latvia for the World Championship. And then I realized that phone call was going to be at 2 a.m. Latvian time. Now, luckily, we'd landed at about midnight anyway, so I wasn't having to stay up that late. But I was so determined to get this phone call, and we were going to park in an underground car park in this hotel on the edge of a park in Riga. And I thought, if I go in the underground car park, I might lose the signal, and then I might miss the call, and I won't get the job. So I was freaking out. So I was like, you lot take the car down, get my bags, I'll see you in reception. So I was pacing about sort of outside an underground car park in Riga in Latvia at 2 a.m, having a phone call with Trip Taylor, who was the producer at the time working for Nitro Circus. And we had a conversation, and they sent me an email overnight and booked me for 2018. Obviously, I then did 2019 again, and then obviously we had conversations this year, which led to me signing up to do the whole series, which is brilliant. I love working with those guys. So yeah, it's been good fun. But like everything, I chased after it. I often go back I know we spoke briefly before we started recording about getting into this industry and how tough it can be for people. And whenever I go back to my old college and talk to the kids and things, I always say nobody comes to you and goes, here's something cool. Like, or very rarely, you need to chase it. You got to go and chase these things. So it's not as easy as people think it is. I think, they think their phone's constantly ringing. You just get to go off and do these cool things. Like, it's a lot of networking and emails and making sure you're doing a good job all the while. So yeah, that's how I got into it in 2018.
You might get a few more of those cool phone calls now, though, I reckon.
Well, you never know, do you? So I did have a cool one this year for actually last year. I got an email from the Isle of Man, but from the government. And you're like, why am I getting an email from .iom.gov, whatever? I was like, oh God. I used to spend quite a lot of time in the Isle of Man with another TV company, Greenlight TV. Actually, you've got an office out in Florida, thinking about it, Nabila, where you live. And they, I thought, oh no, I don't know. I thought your initial thought was, have I got a speeding ticket or something? But I'd never drove a car over there, so I wouldn't have had. Anyway, it turns out it was from the guy who runs the Isle of Man TT. And so this year was one of those occasions when I did get a call email. They were like, would you be interested in doing something? I said that was a year ago, June. And then I did actually go and do the TT this year. So that's one of the jobs where I can remember them coming to me. But yeah, it does. The phone does ring a bit. The more high profile stuff you do, the more you get asked to do other little things alongside, present these awards, or can you host this day for us, that kind of thing. So lots of the little extra jobs come alongside when you're doing a championship. So I'm very lucky that to have managed to make a job out of it all, really.
So as well then, how did your career lead you into motorsport, and were there any other sports that you were doing at the time which you would like to have done instead?
No, definitely motorsport is the one I would like to have done, unfortunately. So I wanted to be a driver. Colin McRae and Richard Burns are my heroes. That late 90s, sort of early noughties era of amazing WRC cars, tons of entries, 3-car teams, F2 cars, 306 Maxis. Anyone who follows me on social media, and I'm obsessed with that car. And that I wanted to be a rally driver. So I think 98. When I was 19, so I must have gone to rally school when I was in 90, maybe 90, I don't know, in the 90s. I can't remember last week. I basically I raced radio controlled cars as a kid. I then went on to probably drive a bit too fast, truth be told, as a teenager. And my parents bought me a day at a rally school for my 19th birthday, which I absolutely loved. I'd never driven it was a Mark II Escort on gravel. I mean, who doesn't like that? It was brilliant. I got on really well with it. I won on the day, and having been an instructor for 10 years, I know that's absolutely irrelevant now, but at the time I'm 19, I've won on the day, I must be the best. Which so I said to the guy, look, I really want to do this, and he said, you need to just go and do some single venue rallies. I didn't even know what a single venue rally was. So me and my co-driver, it was a mate of mine, not remotely a motorsport guy, he wanted to be a pilot at the time, sells beer for a living now, he's a good bloke, and we bought a Vauxhall Nova rally car for 3,500 quid, which had all the right bits on it, but wasn't very well looked after. And then that was where it all started, really. So I tried to get in, being a driver. My parents are school teachers, so we didn't have loads of cash to spend on it. I did really well, got up to national level, and then ran out of money and stopped and became a motorsport instructor, which I did for 10 years. And then I ended up alongside that, just whenever I was at Brands Hatch, if there was ever any filming, they'd always ask me to do it. And I thought that was slightly odd because there were 40 odd instructors there. But in the end, I realized, okay, I must have a different skill set to them. And I honestly never thought, I'll go into TV. It wasn't something I was on my horizon. And I kept getting asked to do these little bits of TV, or can you present this briefing? Can you do this thing for a DVD on car control from, when you buy, say, out Ibiza or whatever it was, all stuff around being an instructor. And when the recession hit in 2008, I thought the instructing work really was a bit hard to come by because so much of it's corporate and everybody cut back. So I put a DVD together and sent it to Eurosport and said that I want to be a commentator, and sort of had to force my way in there. That's a long story as well. 6 emails, several no's. We haven't got any money. We can't train you. You're a million miles away from a solo commentator, but you have a nice voice. So, these are all the things that you're like, I look back and I think it's mad really that I'm here doing it, but I am. So yeah, you got to keep pushing, basically. So that's probably a bit of a long answer. I'm known for that. Sorry.
No, that sounds awesome. Like, what a turnaround, because that's like kind of, you literally listed of how I'm trying to sort out my life, but I haven't quite cracked that, instructor role and getting asked to film things, but that's super cool. I do want to ask, how are you finding the season so far of Nitro RX? I know we missed a round of Finland, but
Yes.
what was your thoughts with it expanding over, global? Because you did the US rounds last year.
Yes, I did. Yes, we did 5 in the US last year. Obviously, we did the 2 Salt Lake Cities back in 18 and 19 as well. And I've loved working on America. You know, America is a different thing. When I worked on ARX, we had a great time. Obviously, it was kind of IMG going across to America. This was me going and working only with Americans, and we had a right laugh. I loved it. Very hard work as well. I say a right laugh. I mean, it's always if you're working with good people, you can always find a way to have fun in the evenings. But during the day, it's hard work. And I thought last year was really, really good. I was pleased to see that they did what they said they were going to do. They've been saying we're going to expand worldwide, and they went ahead and did that. So I'm really glad that we've brought it across to Europe. Obviously, I've been lucky enough to be at 7 events already before we came to Europe this year, and to come then to Lydden Hill, which is my home circuit and the birthplace of rallycross. I think it was quite cool. It wasn't the most nitro track, definitely, and Lydden Hill really lends itself to a racing style. I thought Strangnass was a little bit more of a nitro style track, but whatever. The point is, as Travis said with the initial concept, the idea is to go to different tracks and test drivers in different ways, make them work hard. Yeah, go race on snow and ice. Let's have one that's completely sand. Let's have one that's completely dirt. Yeah, Phoenix doesn't even have a tarmac start area. So it's that thing of, it doesn't matter. So Lydden Hill was more of a racing circuit with one jump, deal with it, you know. And then we went to Strangnass and it was quite narrow, deal with it. And now we're going back to America for big jump, full send, banked corners, and I'm excited about that too. So I think you can get a bit too tied up in, you know, is it perfect? It's also the first year of the series going outside the USA. It's a new production company, new TV graphics, and you know, all those little things you have to get everybody in a line. Like if you built a new rally team, you know, everybody's got to learn exactly what their job is and what their role is and where everything is and how it goes. So we made a huge step between Lydden Hill and Strangnass, and I'm confident that we'll hit the ground running when we get to America. And yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to ERX, which is the first one, of course, in Minnesota.
Building off that, then you're saying, because there's so much variety in this championship after the course of it, it's going to be very interesting to see looking back when it is actually finished, and you just kind of have to deal with it as it is. As a commentator, what is it like commentating on Nitro when you've got that variety, and do you ever not know what to say?
Well, the thing is, one of my favourite things about commentary is the fact that you don't know what's going to happen. I remember I read Chris Evans' autobiography. He's a radio DJ here in the UK. I think he still is, but he's somebody who I admire a lot for his broadcast career. Things like TFI Friday they did, which was a very successful show here in the UK. Go find it on YouTube if you haven't seen it. And I read his autobiography. It was fascinating, super successful, done way better than me. I wish I'd had his career tricks. You know, the bloke's loaded. But he said he thought the hardest job in the world was live sports commentary because you don't know what's going to happen. And I was blown away by that because I love it. It is hard. It's really hard. And I think people think it's easy. And then when they come and have a go at it, actually, it's nowhere near as easy as they think it is. When I first started, you know, when the rally was on, let's say we were doing live Rally Monte Carlo. It was myself and Carlton Kirby. He was the lead and I was the expert. And he'd fill in all these bits with stories. You know, when there was nothing happening, he'd have every story. And he'd just carry it. And I was fascinated by it because I was like, I don't know what to say. Like, there's no rally cars on the stage. What do we do? You know, and Carlton just knew how to fill. And that's something that I hope I've learned. You know, I go off, we go off piece quite a lot on things like Nordic, in particular, Rally X Nordic. We go way off piece. But even on Nitro, we sometimes have time to, especially if there's a stoppage. And you just got to have confidence that, you know, what you're saying is hopefully fun or interesting or educational for the viewer, and just chill out. You know, I've been involved. It does freak me out when I think that I started. You know, I was watching rallying and rallycross in the early 90s. So I've been involved in the sport for coming up for 30 years. And as a competitor / television, 25 years, I don't even feel 25 years old. So it's, you know, you've got some experience to fall back on, Thiemo, and that's the thing really, is you kind of, you know, there's always a little story or an angle, and the more you know, the more you start thinking about other things, like little things, Ekstrom pulling off during free practice in Riga in my last year with the World Championship. I was like, you sneaky git, just straight away I knew what he'd done. No laps, saved 2 laps on the tyres, that was it. And it was the difference between winning and losing. But I wouldn't have known that 5 years before because I didn't have enough experience. And you just have to build that experience up and put all those little bits of knowledge in the bank and pull them out when you need them. So I love it, and the variety of Nitro is great because you go somewhere, you've always got back references, you know, where you can say so did this back in Sweden. Do you remember that move in the UK at Lydden Hill? But yeah, when the tracks are constantly different, there's new challenges. You go and talk to the drivers. There's always something to talk about. So I quite like it when there's so much variety. It makes the job easy. Really, there's always something to talk about.
That's really exciting. And I think the whole championship as a whole has been super exciting to kind of like bring, and especially bringing global. Going back to, you obviously said you're really happy that Travis has done what he said and made it global. Do you think it happened earlier than you expected, or do you think it's kind of right on track?
No, we were expecting it earlier on the inside because, of course, I've been working with them in 2018 and 2019, and there were hopes then of expanding the series to have more events. Not necessarily global, but certainly to have more events over in the States. And I'd had conversations with Nitro and with Thrill One, you know, were ongoing in the background. And of course, COVID got in the way. COVID slowed everybody down big time and continues to be slowing down motorsport across the globe with things like logistics issues on delivery of parts, which before you'd have gone, I need that tomorrow, and it gets flown in tomorrow. You're right there, mate. And so that was the delay, really. So no, I'm pleased they're going for it. When the World Championship really grew, yeah, we really went for it. If you think that the World Championship's plan was to go, we're going to do some live TV in year 2 and we might become a World Championship year 3 to 5. We ended up doing 5 out of the 9 events in the first year live and became a World Championship the next year. So it can be done with the right team of people there. And I believe that the right team of people are at Nitro Rallycross. I really do. You know, that Thrill One, it's an exciting company that, they do street league skateboarding, Nitro Circus. They know how to put on a show. And this is really important, particularly with electric motorsport. You're taking away something that the fans love. I love the noise. Of course I do. But I've not given up on rallying because my favourite engines aren't being used in rallying anymore. And I'm not going to give up on rallycross just because the propulsion of the vehicle has changed. Something I learned from doing Extreme E is that once the cars are off the line, you don't notice it on the TV. You notice it more at the venue, but you don't notice it on the TV at all because it's about who's doing what are the tactics, how sideways were they, etc. So you miss a little bit of drama in the start, but we're working on that. We've got a countdown clock now, and so we've got some various different noises like DEFCON levels, if you like, prior to the start, which helps to build the tension. But if you're going to take away that noise, you've got to give something else. And Nitro are brilliant at giving you that little bit of extra, something a little bit more fun, a little bit wilder, a bigger jump. You get there and you're like, my God. And they, just that what's going to come out of Travis's head next, something even bigger and gnarlier than before. So they're a good bunch of people behind it, and I think they've done the right thing. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
So there was definitely something I noticed in Sweden. I wasn't sure if it was meant for us to hear it on as we were watching on the TV, or if it was just for the fans, but there was that extra kind of music in between races and those extra kind of sound effects and all these kind of things going on. I just thought, even if it's not meant for us and it's just meant for the people who are there watching it, it's a nice addition to it because it's just this little extra thing that you wouldn't necessarily notice if it wasn't there. But you then afterwards you notice if it's not there when you've heard it the first time. So it's good that they get all these important small details that you wouldn't necessarily think of, and just adds to the overall experience, I find.
Absolutely, and that's got a lot to do with obviously the TV production guys, but also at the end of every event, like literally 5 seconds off, we came off air in Lydden Hill. A couple of the senior managers were in the commentary box, and we were having a full debrief, which lasted about 40 minutes about what were the things we wanted to do better. We always want to do better. That's me personally, but also the whole of the team behind Nitro Rallycross is like, how can we make this better? How can we make the fan experience better? I get messages on social media and I read them and I look at them and I go, right, these ones here are consistent. This is something we need to look at. What can we do? They ask the teams. We have a feedback survey after every event. What did you like? What didn't you like? About everything from the event to the TV to the racing. So there's that constant trying to improve. And I think that's really important too. So, yeah, it's lovely to be a part of something which is so inclusive of everybody who works on it is asked for that opinion. It's not just, I'll go and ask the commentators. Yeah, we're asking everybody on the whole team about how things can happen and how we can make things better. Everybody's around the venue doing different things. I only see the stuff that a commentator sees. So a lot of my feedback will be about this to do with TV. But then there were other things where the fans message me and go, what about this? And I'm like, okay, actually, I get it. We're missing that. I knew that because I'm in the event. They didn't know it because they're at the event and they've only come to that one. So sometimes you miss stuff which feels obvious to you, because I've been at 9 Nitro events now. Someone's come to Leaden Hill to a Nitro event for the first time, and they're missing something that they maybe are used to with, say, British Rallycross. So it's how you bring it all together. And of course, it's got to be cost effective too. You can't just go, let's do everything, because that costs too much money. And it's a business. All motorsport is a business, and the fans do need to remember that sometimes. I want this, I want that. Well, yeah, we all want that, but it costs money. So it's all a balancing act.
I think that's what's really cool is Thiemo and I, like after the first round, noticed a few things, and automatically 2 or 3 of the things that we'd picked up on had changed by the second round. And that's incredible. Like no series necessarily can adapt that quickly. And I think that's incredible to see Nitro being like, no, we are listening to these people. We've noticed what we need to change, and they're adapting.
Yeah, they are listening, and I think that's very important. I think you see when series don't listen to the fans, how cross the fans get about that. They can become quite vocal about it. So yeah, they listened. We all knew anyway that there were things we wanted to change, and that's inevitable, as I say, when you go global with the series. Going back to the States now, of course, we'll have had a little break. It was so close getting the cars ready for Leaden Hill. It was incredibly close because of those delays, shipping and manufacturing from the Far East. The cars are done. We haven't had too many issues with the cars. I think for something brand new, they've gone brilliantly. There were changes made again to the cars between Leaden Hill and Sweden. Upgrades on the steering, upgrades on the software. And now they're on a boat. Obviously, we can't physically do anything to the cars while they're on the boat, but they're already thinking about what are the upgrades that we've got coming. So when the cars arrive, there are more upgrades to go on them when they get to Minnesota already. And there will be more ideas. So we've actually got a little bit of breathing space. It's been really busy behind the scenes, obviously getting the series ready to go, and then the first 2 events being so close together. And now there's actually a few weeks breathing space. I think everyone's going, right, okay, let's go. America, here we come.
I'm definitely excited to see the series come to the US. So I'm going to ask, so you said you had kind of an untraditional route into the world of presenting, but I wondered if you might be able to share with us what you suggest as a good route, or what tools do you recommend to someone wanting to get started in presenting and commentating?
Sure. So, I mean, commentary is easier than presenting. So when I first started doing these little bits of TV, there was one I did GMTV, Dr. Hillary. I taught him to be a rally driver, and we spent the morning, me ripping a car around a rally stage with him, him driving, me driving. I got paid a full day's money. This was at Brands Hatch, and then we went to lunch after. I was like, wow, this is good. That's not what TV is really like. That was what my idea of TV was like. But I thought to myself, I'd like to be a presenter. But if you start looking into how to become a presenter, there are hundreds of courses online and all this kind of thing. It's almost like it's a bit too saturated. There's so many people want to do it. So I was like, okay, I don't think that's going to work. I think I looked at the commentary route instead. I've been watching rallying on Eurosport. They've got some great commentators, Eurosport. But at the time, they didn't have a pundit on the rally show. They just had a commentator. And I was like, this is interesting. Quite why, having only won a Class A6 in a National Forest Championship, I thought I should go on and be the expert for the Intercontinental Rally Challenge is absolutely beyond me. But I'm glad I had the balls to do it, because it was fine. Nobody had done it before. There wasn't somebody who'd been a rally pundit before, other than on WRC, of course. But that hadn't necessarily had the traditional lead and expert roles. It had mostly been radio up until then. It was the IRC that did the full live thing first of all, and kind of proved to WRC that it could be done. So the route I chose to do the commentary route because I felt there was more chance of me getting a foot in the door with that than there was presenting, and I was right. And since then, I've learned to be a presenter with the help of some great presenters that I've worked with as well. Neil Cole, Laura Winter. You always pick up stuff off other people. That's just 2 that immediately spring to mind. You learn stuff off everybody that you work with. I'll be honest, sometimes you work with people on the whole thing, and you're like, I'm not sure about that. But then they'll do one little thing and you go, I can take that. And you just have to gather I learned so much from Carlton Kirby. I really did about commentary that I maybe didn't realise at the time. But he was very generous, as was Martin Haven. All people who I'd come into Eurosport and was potentially going to be taking some work from them, and yet they were still kind enough to help me out with learning, which is why whenever anybody asks me, I'm always up for saying this is my advice. I'm constantly sending voice notes on Instagram to people like, I want to get into rallying, I want to be a mechanic, how do I do it? And you just got to get yourself around the sport. From a commentary point of view, just to be specific, and a very quick one, for instance, you could find your local track. It could be Speedway, it could be Banger Racing, it could be Brands Hatch, whatever it is. There will be lots of small championships going there who don't have any money. They just haven't got the budget for commentary. So you go along, you go, could I please commentate for the weekend for free? And they go, yes, we need a commentator. That would be brilliant if they don't have one. So you get a foot in the door. If you can't get a foot in the door with motorsport, see if you can go and be the commentator at your local football club through the PA system. It will be a crowd of 28 people for the first few things. That doesn't matter. That's a good thing because you will suck when you first start. I don't really like going back watching early stuff. Some of it I'm quite proud of, to be honest, but there's other stuff oh God. But you learn, and everybody has to learn. So start small. See if you can get a foot in the door doing a local PA commentary, not for TV. In the end, you'll meet somebody who's on radio, let's say, and maybe they can get you on the radio side, and then the TV people will be there one week. If you get up to Brands Hatch, maybe you start at your local thing, then you do something at Brands, then you end up with a series. And when you end up with a series and you've got some consistency, you start to get a narrative through the season. Back in round 1, so-and-so made that brilliant pass up at turn 4. We're here now. Can he do it again? And you get these things which thread through the season. And that, again, will help to develop your skills rather than just one-off events. So start small, keep knocking on doors, expect a lot of no's. Like I said, it took me 6 emails to get a face-to-face at Eurosport, 2 to the IRC, 2 to Eurosport in France, and 2 to Eurosport in the UK. And the first one of each of those emails went completely unanswered. Now, you can't send 6 emails because if they don't reply after 2, they're not going to reply. You got to find another way in. So it's about finding a way in. Have a think about it. Look at the construction of the email addresses. Can you find the name of a member of staff on LinkedIn? Is there a hole for what you're trying to do? If they've got 10 football commentators already, they're not going to need a novice football commentator. You've got to think about what that plan is and just try and force your way in. I hope that kind of helps.
I think so. From Nabila definitely nodding her head there in agreement there. So I'd say you definitely tick that box on that one. Back to Nitro a second then. We've got drivers from all over the shop across all of the different categories that we've got in Nitro. But which other drivers from any other motorsport discipline would you love to come and see try their hand at it?
Valentino Rossi, immediately. So Rossi loves rallying. He absolutely loves it. He's done the Monza Rally Sprint a couple of times. He did Rally GB and he did Rally New Zealand. I think he did GB in the fabulous Michelin-coloured Peugeot 206 which was yellow on one side and blue on the other. And I think he did New Zealand in a Subaru, but I could be wrong. But either way, he loves it. So he's done with bikes now. I know he's got some factory contract, hasn't he, with Ferrari or something, is it? I don't know. In endurance racing, my races are 6 minutes long. Endurance races are max. Endurance races are longer. So Rossi, definitely. And I'd love to see the eyes that he would bring to the sport. And that's another thing which is great about Nitro's attitude to guest drivers. Chase Elliott. Jenson Button's not a guest driver. Obviously, he's going to be a full timer once we get to the stage. But ex-Formula One world champion. If you can bring people in from different sports, I think it helps to get eyes on what you're doing. The lovely thing about Rallycross is it's easy for somebody from any other discipline to step in and have a crack at it. They're not necessarily going to be amazing. The hardest thing is joker strategy, I think, unless you've not driven on the dirt, but that doesn't take long to learn. Joker strategy can be dealt with by somebody else. You don't have to do it. The only time you have to think about it is if the joker's in turn 1, and it won't be because everybody hates turn 1 jokers. They suck. So you've got somebody in your ear telling you when to joker. So take out that. If you try and go slicks and wings racing, F1, F3, whatever, awful. You're not going to be able to do it because if you don't understand downforce, you won't get anywhere near it. Likewise, if you want to go and do a rally and you've never done pace notes, you will not get anywhere near it. You have to listen, and what they say to you subconsciously gives you a picture of what's going on down the road. I remember when I did the 07-08 season, we did 8 events, and the first 4, I was still kind of listening to the pace notes and almost trying to translate them in my head as to what they meant, and then it clicked and I got it, and it's like, okay, I get it now. It's a 4 left tightens to 3, and all of the different things. I've done pace notes before. We swapped actually from descriptive to numbered from when I was rallying in 2001 through to when I started again in 2007. Big gap, I know. and we went to the numbered system instead. And I actually think I might be tempted to try the degree system now. See, there's where I go off piece. You see, I lose. I can't remember what the question was now. So yeah, remind me, what was the question? Have I answered it? I remember the question. It was about guest drivers. So yeah, my point is, you can't do rallying if you don't know pace notes. You can't do F1 if you don't understand downforce. With rallycross, as long as you've got the basic skill set of driving a car flat out, you can do it. Nobody gets out of a rallycross car and says it wasn't fun. I remember David Coulthard got out of the car at Race of Champions in Barbados out of one of the Markland Polos and said, me, that's fast. And that, this is David Coulthard getting out, F1 driver getting out of a rallycross car with a massive grin on his face. Everybody loves it. So yeah, Valentino Rossi, I'd love to see do it. Who else would I like to see do it? You need absolute superstars of the sport, don't you? We've been pretty lucky in Nitro already, and obviously we had the Hansons last year, and with Christopherson's done a guest appearance, Gronholm's done a couple, and I think we'll do more. I'd love to see Sebastian Loeb come and do Nitro. I know I'd love to see Ekstrom come and have another crack. Obviously we're getting into the realms of people who've done it before there. But yeah, guest drivers, Rossi's right at the top of my list.
I'd say Christopherson, with his bit of rivalry with Loeb at the moment in a couple of other things, it'd be quite good to see Loeb come in and see if he could beat him in his own game again now, wouldn't it? So
yeah, it would. It very much would. Yeah, he's a legend, isn't he, Loeb? I'm a big Sebastian fan, like zero. He doesn't have no worries, does he, at all? Just no worries whatsoever. It's like that. Okay, we will see. Always. So yeah, I'm a big Loeb fan.
Yeah, that's super funny. I think he just works across all the disciplines so well. I would love to see him as a feature in the Group E in Nitro. So maybe you can make that happen, Andrew. Ask him on the next Extreme E round.
Yeah, I'll give my contacts a shout, shall I? See what we can do. Yeah, I'm interested to see who gets in. Who gets in the guest car this year? We've got obviously Chase Elliott. We know we've got coming to one now that got announced this week, and that went down really well because he did well in Florida at the end of last year. So yes, I'm excited. Let's see. I actually genuinely don't know. I can't even. I'd love to be telling you that I'm keeping a secret, but I don't know who we're lining up. So I'm sure I'll find out in a Zoom meeting at some point.
That's totally fair. So, since we're on the topic of it, can you describe Nitro Rallycross in 3 words?
Wild, jump, brilliant. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, swear words would maybe, but yeah, I mean, it's just a bit nuts, isn't it? Really, and there's loads of jumps in, and it's great. I was going to say,
we should have that on the poster for the tagline. Just a bit nuts, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's a very British thing to say, isn't it? Probably too British for Nitro. But yeah, why not? I think that's fair, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's about right, really. That's about right. It's mega. I'm known for saying that, aren't I? We'll add that in the mix.
Get some merchandise with that, and I'm sure if you've not already thought about that one.
Yeah.
So, final question then. If you weren't commentating and working in motorsport, what do you think you'd be doing?
I don't know. I've come to the conclusion that I don't like. I had an office job 2 days a week when I was working as a motorsport instructor. When I was first started out working for, some government office. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I've never been so not motivated in my entire life. And that's not to say that there aren't some brilliant office jobs. I don't think that was one of them. You got to do something you love, or at least like. I think when I was going to work and thinking I hate this, I don't want to go to work. That's not a good position to be in ever. And if I ever felt like that about a series that I was covering, I would resign. You must try to do. Not to hate work. That's the most important. Don't hate work. If you can love work, even better. There are times when it's 11 o'clock and I'm sitting in a porter cabin and the satellite's failed and the show's not finished. And I'm like, I do not like this one bit. But obviously the great stuff far outweighs the negatives in what I do. And I consider myself extraordinarily fortunate to do something which I love. I find it so challenging. It's the most challenging thing I've ever done. And I think that's another good thing to say about any job really, is if you find it challenging, it will be rewarding. If something's terribly easy, it's probably not going to be very rewarding either financially, but more importantly, emotionally, is it rewarding? So I'd like to think that I'd find something different, that would be like that. But what do I love? I love skiing. I'd love to have been a skier. I'd like to a skiing instructor. That'd be good. I'm not good enough to be a ski instructor. I'd ski. I'm untidy as hell. I can get down anything, but it's not pretty. So yeah, something along those lines, I think. And I think definitely outdoors. I'd be doing something outdoorsy. I don't think I could be indoors all the while. Basically, there you go.
So Tanner first like doing is doing a bit of skiing. You could go and set up shop somewhere with him and start a ski school, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Oh no, my brother-in-law's trying to ring me. Let me hang up on him. Here we go.
Well, I actually have one more question, because I asked this with everybody, because being a massive rally fan and also having done it myself, my key question is, if you could pick any rally in any car, what's it going to be?
Oh, that's really tough. New Zealand Group A Impreza. There you go.
Nice.
Those cambered roads. I was trying to think about. I think I could have a crack at that. I think if you were to say, I mean, obviously, if you'd said full season with testing, then you get a bit more selective. Something like the Monty, I'd love to do the Monty, but it's a bit of a lottery in terms of tyres, isn't it? And whether you're on the right boots. Then you automatically think Finland, but unless you've done Finland loads and are a very good, very brave driver, it's not going to go your way. But then I thought New Zealand, those lovely cambered roads, a proper Group A car, backing it in everywhere, mega. And if it weren't that, then Catalonia, Peugeot 306 Maxi.
Nice. Both
Good
very
choices.
good choices.
I'm very pleased.
I like those. We've had a lot of the world, like last year's WRC, so I'm really happy that you kind of like pushed out of the box a little bit there.
Yeah. The new cars look all right, don't they? I'm sure they're great, but they're all too. Everything has to be driven so straight now. It's nowhere near as much fun. The high-speed commitment is unbelievable. It is definitely next level to what it was before. And I don't doubt that the drivers now are trying ultra hard every 10th of every stage. But I also don't care, because they're not backing it into every junction 3 times in a Group A Impreza and a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 6. So I'll always love rallying, but that era is always going to have a special place in my heart. So yeah, that's an easy one for me.
That's awesome. No, that is the perfect way to end, I think, because what good choices. I'm very happy with those. But that's all we have time for on today's episode. Thank you so much again, Andrew, for joining us. If those of you listening, watching don't already, please go and follow Andrew on his social media channels. And is there anything else you would like to plug while we're at it?
No, I'm all good. Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me on your podcast, Thiemo, Nabila. Much appreciated. And obviously, in terms of plugging things, you should watch every TV show that I'm involved with. That way I've ticked the box for all the championships. If I only say one, I'll get fired, won't I? So, but particularly Nitro. And
then Thiemo, where can you be found?
In the meantime, I've got my own motorsport interview series on the curbs, which, depending on when this comes out, you'll probably find an episode with Andrew on there as well. So go and check that out as well. So we've got everything totally covered there. And then I've got also the F1 podcast that I do, which is called the Undercut Podcast. And I've got various motorsport articles over on Is It Fast? So I'm a busy boy. But what about you, Nabila? Where can people find you in the meantime?
Yeah, you can find me on the regular social channels, same old Instagram, TikTok, but trying to keep things interesting. And also we have our Nitro RX Instagram page that you can go check out. But no, thank you for coming on, Andrew. It has been so much fun to have you, because it's really opened up a different realm of Nitro that we haven't had with necessarily the drivers. So really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys. Take care.